Hello, good afternoon. My name is Moses Machipisa, and I'm the thought leader behind the ideology of Youthnism. And today I want to explain what is Youthnism and why it is important, particularly for us to be involved in Youthnism. So, Youthnism is an ideology that articulates a structured idea on how young people can be proactively involved and included in the decision making, especially in public office spaces across, particularly in Africa. So one might ask, why Youthnism? The reason why I came with the idea of Youthnism is because if you look at the African continent, the statistics in terms of the population dynamics, Africa is the youngest continent. The average age is 19, and 65% of Africans are under the age of 35, young people. So what we have there is there's this growth that is going to be experienced for a protracted time, where Africa is going to be quickly be one of the youngest, actually the youngest continent in the world. And by 2050, 1 in every 4 people in the world will be an African. So these are the statistics. But if you look at Africa, we already have a lot of challenges. We have challenges with climate change, infrastructure. Our economies aren't performing as well. There's a lot of civil unrest in different areas. But continentally, what you find out is that these challenges that we're facing are only a small, a small amount, or a small percentage of the catastrophe that can occur if nothing is done. Because what you find out is, as the populations in Africa continue to rise, there's going to be pressure on services, whether it's for education, more need for more schools, healthcare, hospitals, better service delivery. And we are also going to see the rise of, rural to urban migration. But our cities are not growing as fast as they should to accommodate, the pressure that will be coming there. So already you can see what is happening. There's going to be a lot of challenges that we are going to face: food, water, obviously with climate change, the capacities of our economies. Our economies are not growing as fast enough, to, if we are going to be looking at things like, for example, the SDGs, where we are talking about zero poverty. So all of these things point to a very bleak future if nothing is addressed. But there's also one of the problems that is, not helping the problem, is that we have a disconnection between the people that are in authority or who are governing, the African states. There's a disconnect between them and the young people and the young generation that is coming up. There is a systematic marginalization of young people in decision making. And this is dangerous because, as we have seen, for example, with the Arab Spring, when we have a lot of young people that are marginalized, excluded, that have no voice, this always, comes, to a chaotic, it builds up to a chaotic environment. So where we are, as Africa, as a continent, we are actually at the tipping point. Was within this generation, and actually, if we can put it, we have about a decade where we need to seriously rethink our governance system so that they accommodate the young people and accommodate the concerns of the young people, and not only that, to become future oriented. So what Youthnism seeks to address is, how do we galvanize the different aspects of challenges that are facing young people. For example, what opportunities need to be present so that this generation does not become a lost generation of young people, and that will also avert the coming or the impending disaster where we have a lot of young people who have nothing to lose, and therefore, become extremist, and will affect the security of the states as well as the continents at large. It also speaks to how we can, as Africans, put in young people into the decision-making matrix, so that at the end of the day, we have youth who can speak with an authentic youth voice on youth issues. How can young people be empowered? Because there is a clear disconnect with this old generation, which is currently in the governance structures. And what I want us to appreciate is that Youthnism does not look only at the lens of what is happening in nations, because it doesn't matter whether we have a few African economies that are doing well. For example, if you look at South Africa, the migrant problems, that's the South Africa, because it's, you can't be you can be a good, well-developed nation, but as long as you're in a sea of poverty, it's still problematic. So even if you have those economies that are doing well, they are going to be affected internal migration. But not only that, from the continent, as young people who saw the migration problems. So getting young people to be part and proactive in the public fora, in making decisions, will not only bridge the disconnect in terms of the priorities for governance, but it will also give that outlook for the young people, that they have a voice and they have a say in shaping their future. And if that is not there, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. So Youthnism is that ideology which galvanizes, because what we have been having is young people working in different campaigns, but we need a broad-based ideology that then encompasses the different aspects of the challenges that youth are facing. And this is what Youthnism seeks to address.